في هذه الجمعة أريد أن أبدأ باللغة العربية، لأنه في لقاء سابق تحدثنا طول الوقت تقريبا باللغة الإنجليزية. أعتقد أن العالم شاهد موقفا قويا ونبيلا وعظيما للجمعية العامة بتصويت 152 صوتا مقابل 10 ضد في اعتماد القرار الذي ينص من ضمن عدة مسائل demands an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. كلمة demand ليست يطالب باللغة العربية، لأنه باللغة العربية يطالب calls for، بس demand يفرض أو يلزم سلطة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي بأن توقف لأسباب إنسانية وقف إطلاق النار وبشكل فوري. ولذلك يعني هذه لها قوة إضافية في الدورة الطارئة العاشرة متحدين من أجل السلام. وثانيا يعني هذا القرار مقارنة مع القرار الذي اعتمد في 26 أكتوبر، تم تبني ذلك القرار من 40 دولة وحصلنا على 121 صوتا. المرة هاي حصلنا على 104 دول تبنوه في غضون 24 ساعة، وحصل على 152 صوتا 153 صوتا، من ضمنهم الغالبية الساحقة للدول الأوروبية، وطبعا بطبيعة الحال الدول العربية والإسلامية وجرولاك وآسيان ودول عديدة وأفريقية ومن مناطق مختلفة. 10 فقط هم الذين صوتوا ضده. ولذلك نأمل وسنعمل على أن يتم الالتزام من قبل سلطة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي في وقف هذا الإطلاق النار الإنساني وفورا، كما دعا إلى ذلك الأمين العام، وكما دعا إلى ذلك 13 دولة في مجلس الأمن، وكما دعا لذلك قبل دقائق الجمعية العامة ب 153 صوتا مقابل 10 أصوات. جهودنا ستتواصل، سنقرع أبواب مجلس الأمن من أجل أن يعتمد قراراً يسهل دخول مئات الشاحنات وبطرق سريعة إلى قطاع غزة بطبيعة الحال بعد أن يتوقف إطلاق النار الإنساني كما اعتمدت الجمعية العامة فوراً، وكذلك إدخال كل المقومات الحياة بما فيها الوقود والدواء والغذاء وتوزيعها في كل أطراف قطاع غزة، الأمر الذي يعني تمكين وحماية كل مؤسسات الأمم المتحدة وفي المقدمة منها وموظفيها وكالة الأونروا، لأنهم يملكوا الأجهزة والأدوات التي تمكنهم من القيام بتوزيع هذه الكميات الهائلة لأهلنا في قطاع غزة بطبيعة الحال كما قلت في ظل توقف العدوان وفي ظل توقف القصف عليهم. Let me just say in English briefly. We are very proud of the collective efforts of our brothers in the Arab group and the OIC. We were united like one person, all of us united behind this draft resolution, and we succeeded in defeating 2 unfair amendments, and we were able to acquire 153 votes versus 10 votes that voted against the draft resolution. This draft resolution demands an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Let me repeat, demands. The language of demands, it has the power of implementation. It does not call for or urges, it demands. And we will not rest until we see compliance of Israel with this demand from the General Assembly, so that we can see a ceasefire in place, so that we can move into the massive amount of truckloads of assistance, humanitarian assistance, of food, medicine, water, and fuel in order to run the hospitals, to run the plants for desalination, and all needs of the things that we need, our people to need for survival. This other draft resolution that we will begin intensely negotiating this evening and tomorrow in the Security Council would require allowing trucks to move into more than one crossing, not only Rafah crossing, but all the crossings with the Gaza Strip, especially those that have the technology of verifying what is in the trucks at a high level of hundreds of trucks per day. This is the need of the people in the Gaza Strip. And we need also to have this ceasefire to allow this massive amount of humanitarian assistance to reach every corner of the Gaza Strip, to reach our people everywhere in the Gaza Strip. This would require allowing the humanitarian agencies led by UNRWA and all other agencies to be able to move safely to all corners of the Gaza Strip to distribute this massive amount of humanitarian assistance so that we begin the recovery process in the Gaza Strip. Today was a historic day in terms of the powerful message that was sent from the General Assembly, and it is our collective duty to continue in this path until we see an end to this aggression against our people, to see this war stopping against our people. It is our duty to save lives. Saving lives is much nicer and better than taking it away. Death is bad, life is wonderful, and life of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, especially the children, who constitute 50% of the 2.3 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. It is our collective duty to save them. All children are precious, and we need to save all children everywhere. The children of Palestine should not be the exceptions. They are as important as any child anywhere under the sun in all corners of the globe. There should not be differentiation between one child and another child. Our children are precious to us. We need to save them. We need to protect them. We need to allow them to dream their dreams and to rebuild the state of Palestine and to live in freedom and dignity, being proud Palestinians in the land of the state of Palestine. These are the things that we wanted to share with you. If you have some questions to any one of us, by all means.
سعادة السفير، رغم الندية الواضحة لقرار المشروع المجموعة العربية ومجموعة المنظمة الإسلامية من قبل الولايات المتحدة، إلا أن هذا القرار تمكن من العبور بشكل أكبر والحصل على دعم بشكل قوة أكثر في الجمعية العامة المتحدة. السؤال: كيف تقرؤون كمجموعة عربية اليوم تأثير الولايات المتحدة ليس على الشارع العربي لكن على الدول الصديقة للولايات المتحدة التي تخلت عنها في التصويت الثاني؟ هذا السؤال الأول. السؤال الثاني: تحدثت أنه المجموعة العربية سوف تذهب الآن إلى مجلس الأمن، ما هي الخطوات القادمة التي سوف تكون في مجلس الأمن إذا تكرمت؟
الأخير سأتركه لأخي أسامة and أخي محمد to respond to it. But let me just say about the first question. From the beginning, when we started and when we went to the General Assembly the first time, United for Peace, and resuming the 10th emergency session, we succeeded in breaking the unity of the European countries. Some voted with us, some abstained, and some, voted in favor. Then we moved to the Security Council. We succeeded in adopting Resolution 2712. We thought that having pauses for a few days without fighting, then to be renewed, would create an atmosphere and dynamic of a permanent ceasefire. It did not work, which means that the main force, which is the United States of America, was still intact, siding with Israel completely and not being cracked. Now, and even last Friday, and today, it was obvious that this powerful force is beginning to crack, and it is losing support except from a handful of countries that are not that significant. in terms of their weight in global politics. This is putting us on the path of convincing different wings within the administration and the US government that enough is enough. Now is the time to stop this war. Now is the time to tell Israel, you cannot continue killing this massive number of Palestinians. Who is responsible for killing 20,000 Palestinians in addition to thousands who are under the rubble? And who is responsible for injuring 50,000 Palestinians and destroying more than 2/3 of the dwellings of Palestinians, destroying the hospitals, destroying, everything related to life in the Gaza Strip? It is Israel. It is only Israel that has the capability of aircraft, of artillery, of tanks, that is causing this death. They cannot try to blame somebody else for this killing. It is them, and the whole world is seeing it, including just before we started the meeting, for the second day in a row, you saw hundreds of people demonstrating in front of the US mission, in front of the UN, calling for ceasefire now. There are billions of people, I would say, in all corners of the globe are in the streets saying ceasefire now. I don't think that the US administration is capable of continuing to ignore this massive power, and it was culminated in the General Assembly resolution this afternoon, and we hope in few days, inshallah few hours, that the United States to come to the conclusion and to force Israel to stop this aggression against our people so that we can move into all the things that I mentioned. But now, my two brothers, Osama and Muhammad, will tell you what we are doing and we're planning to do in the Security Council.
Thank you very much. Few words in Arabic first. رغم رضانا التام عن نتيجة التصويت اليوم التي عكست إجماعا واضحا على تأييد المطلب وقف إطلاق النار بعد النجاح اللي حققه الأشقاء في بعثة الإمارات بترحيل مشروع قرار الجمعة الماضية، إلا إنه الأهم هو إنفاذ القرارات، إلا إنه الأهم هو إنقاذ الأرواح، إنقاذ الأبرياء من المدنيين وإغاثة الشعب الفلسطيني. المجموعة العربية منعقدة ومستنفرة بالكامل. التكليفات واضحة من القادة العرب والقادة المسلمين، من قمة الرياض، من رؤسائنا ووزرائنا. التكليف هو إغاثة الشعب الفلسطيني، إيقاف نزيف الدماء، ومن ثم المجموعة العربية والمجموعة الإسلامية متقدمة بمشروع قرار آخر. بعثة الإمارات تعكف منذ أكثر من أسبوعين، منخرطون بنشاط، وأخي العزيز السفير محمد بوشهاب سيتطرق إلى التفاصيل الفنية. الغرض كما أوضحه أخي دكتور رياض منصور إنه انسياب المساعدات بآلية منتظمة تشرف عليها الأمم المتحدة وتلعب فيها دورا أكثر تقدما بعيدا عن أي عراقيل. المقتربات العربية مقتربات إنسانية ومخططة وتخاطب العالم بما يفهم. In English, of course, we're totally geared and mobilized as the Arab and Islamic group. We're not there yet. Yes, we're happy and satisfied with the outcome of the result today, but the most important is the compliance, is the enforcement, is the implementation. For us, we have a certain work plan, and the coming step within that work plan is the fulfillment of the mandate given to us by our leaders, is to save the Palestinians, to have a better flow of assistance to our Palestinian brothers and sisters in Gaza. Yesterday, Egypt and Emirates has managed to have a very successful visit for members of the Security Council. A lot of them at the PR and DPR level have seen with their bare eyes the catastrophe, the man-made catastrophe that is in the making in southern Gaza and the suffering of the people. So we have been working with members of the Security Council. The Arab member, very ably, United Arab Emirates is engaging. We have had a draft resolution for the last 2 weeks where we hope, and we sincerely hope, that by the end of this week we would vote on that draft resolution to be able to have the uniform flow of assistance as required through all the crossings with a greater role of the UN. This is again another non-politicized humanitarian approach. Each life matters, as my dear brother Dr. Riyad Mansour, and I leave the technicality of the draft resolution to my dear brother Ambassador Muhammad Bushra.
Thank you. So briefly, I mean, it's already been said that, and you've all heard that the UAE organized a visit to the Rafah border crossing. The purpose of this visit was to allow council members to have a better understanding of the situation on the ground and how we can take action in order to scale up the assistance, the much needed assistance to get into Gaza. The visit was organized by the UAE and it was attended by Security Council members in their personal and national capacities. And they were able to meet with UN officials, with officials from the Egyptian side, from the Palestinian side, and from humanitarian organizations to get an understanding of what action the Security Council could take in order to facilitate sustainable humanitarian assistance at scale to the people in Gaza. On the resolution, we indeed have been working with council members and with humanitarian organizations to understand the situation and to explore what it is technically that would be needed in order to get this assistance in. We've already had read-throughs of the draft resolution. We've begun to receive comments from council members, but we believe that the council members who are actually making their way back from the region now, that they will come with some additional information after their visit. And so we will continue to work in negotiations in good faith with council members in order to, as Ambassador of Egypt just mentioned, to try to get an adoption as quickly as possible and as early as this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me, to conclude by acknowledging the following individuals and countries. When this war started, we were under the leadership of my good brother, Mahmoud, as the chair of the Arab group. And always my good brother, Sidi Muhammad, the chair of the OIC, that took us and led us in adopting the first resolution in the first resumed emergency session. Of course, during all this period, there was a summit in Riyadh in which our brothers in Saudi Arabia hosted the summit for Arab countries and OIC, and they adopted a very strong resolution. Not only that, but they formed a ministerial committee composed of 8 ministers from both sides that toured the capitals of the P5, and they went to Canada, and they went to other places in other corners of the globe. Our brother, Ambassador Abdulaziz, was always with us, informing us about the moves of the ministers, whom they were here when we've adopted the first, or some of them were with us when we adopted the first resolution in the 10th emergency session. The following month, our brother from Libya, Tahir, under his chairmanship of the Arab group, we succeeded in adopting the Security Council Resolution 2712. Of course, my good brother, Sidi Muhammad from the OIC was with us, and the same thing, the ambassador of Saudi Arabia telling us about what the ministers were doing. And then when we moved to this month under the chairmanship of Egypt, we were able to adopt this resolution today in the 10th emergency session, resumed again, and adopted the call for demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. Along with those, my sister, from Alia from Qatar, her country was playing a very important role in terms of the negotiations that led to the release of many Palestinian prisoners, women and children, and also the release of those who were in captivity from the Israeli side. That created noticeable joy on both sides, joining their loved ones with their families. Let me also give a special tribute to our brothers in United Arab Emirates for the remarkable role that they played all along in the Security Council that led to the adoption of a resolution and led to 13 countries voting with us when the United States decided to kill that draft resolution last Friday by casting a veto. Let me also add my brother Tata, who is, an instrumental leader on the ASEAN group, who played a remarkable role in having almost all of the countries. I'm leaving him until the end. So I just want to say that we thank him, and we thank, the ASEAN group for standing with us and casting their votes the way they did, as we saw it this afternoon and before. And also that the role that him and, my brother from Kuwait, who were instrumental in mobilizing the forces among Gulag. Let me also conclude by saying, of course, everyone here is important. Jamal is going to be our chairman for next month, and I hope by that time the war will be over so that we can move to other things. But he is ready and willing, to assume his responsibility with full force. Of course, the League of Arab States, we are grateful to them, and also the office of the OIC, the Secretariat, who helped us in this endeavor. But let me just give a special tribute to a good friend of mine, a very wise man, and he is very astute diplomat, very creative, who was our lawyer in the first time we went to the 10th emergency session, and he was remarkable in shredding to pieces those who tried to introduce an amendment that was not fair, that failed miserably, and I am delighted that that country voted in favor of the resolution today. My brother, Munir Akram, who arrived last night from Qatar, did not hesitate to be our lawyer again and, to argue the way he did in his own brilliant way of dealing with the two amendments that contributed to convincing those who were in the chamber of the General Assembly not to honor and to vote in favor of these amendments. I am happy that he is with us, and he represented us, and maybe he should be the last one to say a few words if you wish.
Thank you, Riyad, and thank you to all my brothers and sisters from the Arab group and the OIC. For Pakistan, obviously, Palestine is our own cause. A year after our birth, the founder of Pakistan wrote a very strong letter to the then President of the Security Council and the Secretary General, opposing the creation of Israel. And this was followed up at that time by our Foreign Minister, Sir Zafarullah Khan, who pleaded Palestine's case during the discussions on the partition resolution as such. So Palestine is part of us, it's part of Pakistan's DNA, and therefore it is a pleasure, it is a duty for Pakistan to speak up, to speak for Palestine, and to speak with Palestine. So thank you very much, Riyad, and congratulations on the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Munir. Thank you all. Some of us need to go back to the chamber of the General Assembly to do explanation of vote. I am supposed to be the first speaker when the debate starts. I don't know when the debate will start, but maybe that my statement need to be altered significantly as a result of the remarkable accomplishment that we collectively had this afternoon. We will keep you informed. Stay with us. Thank you very much.